What's up everybody, I'm HoopsandHipHop. So one of the things in Pokemon that people have the strongest opinions about are the Pokemon themselves, and we've seen this become apparent very recently with the reveal of Meltan and Melmetal. On the one hand, we have people who love these Pokemon who say they're cute and adorable and cool, whereas on the other hand, we have people who are getting their pitchforks and their torches ready, saying that Pokemon is done and that Game Freak is officially out of ideas and that these Pokemon suck. With that being said though, in today's video I am going to be ranking, in my own opinion, every region's Pokemon from worst to best. Of course everyone has their own opinion on what region they think is the best, and a big part of that opinion has to do with the Pokemon. Now I'm not going to be ranking the regions as a whole here, I'm strictly looking at each region in terms of the Pokemon they introduced and ranking that set of Pokemon, in my own opinion, from worst to best. I'll be giving my reasonings for each pick, I'll be saying why one region is ahead of another region, and so on. Overall, this is obviously in my opinion and it's just for fun, so it's fine if you think differently, but with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and just check out my list. Okay, so starting things off at number 7, at the bottom of the list is the region that I believe introduced the worst set of Pokemon, and if you followed the channel for very long, this is not going to be very surprising to you, because that would be the Unova region. Now I'm going to keep this fairly brief here and just hit the major points because I've talked several times before about why Unova is my least favorite region in terms of the Pokemon. Number 1, I just think it has the largest amount of bad Pokemon of any region. It does have a lot of good Pokemon, don't get me wrong there. I'm not trying to say I hate every single Pokemon that is in this region, I just believe that Unova and Unovan Pokemon as a whole have the largest number of bad Pokemon compared to any other region. Now, once again, bad Pokemon is a subjective term and everyone is going to have their own opinion, but in my opinion, Unova introduced a very good amount of bad Pokemon, and I think that was the problem with the Unova Dex as a whole, is that it introduced too many Pokemon, which allowed for some of these less quality Pokemon to sneak in. I get that they added a lot of Pokemon because they wanted to make the Unova Pokedex exclusive to the main story of the game, meaning that there would only be Unova Pokemon available, so naturally you'd have to have a lot to choose from. However, with that being said, I think the Unova Pokedex would be much better off if it would have cut about 40 Pokemon and been in that 110 range similar to Sinnoh. If that would have happened, I think Unova would be looked at a lot more favorably, and I think its Pokemon would be looked at a lot more favorably as well. Like I said, that's not to say that I hate Unova, because I don't, and that's not to say that I don't love some Unova Pokemon, because there are some that I love. There's just a pretty good amount that I don't like as well. Okay, so coming in at the next spot up at number 6 are the Alola region Pokemon. Now, this is an interesting sort of pick for me because if you followed the channel for a decent amount of time, you might have heard me mention a couple times before that I'm not the hugest fan of the tropical regions of Pokemon like Alola and Hoenn. It's just not the best sort of setting for me in general, and with a setting as unique and exotic as that, naturally that's going to have a big effect on the Pokemon, and so it makes the Pokemon kind of have a tropical flavor as well. And with a tropical setting allowing tropical Pokemon to be introduced, I think it just allows for more Pokemon to be introduced that are, for lack of a better term, really weird. Now, that's not to say that weird or odd Pokemon can't be cool, I think it just allows for Pokemon that come off to me as really strange and kind of just not as good quality as they could be, or I guess just not kind of really my type of Pokemon. So for example, there are Pokemon in the Alola Dex that I think are bad, like Crabominable for instance, like seriously, what were they thinking? And then there are Pokemon that I don't think are bad at all, I'm just not a fan of, such as Dewpider and Araquanid. Like, I really like what they were going for with these Pokemon, I appreciate the heck out of Araquanid's name because I think it's very creative, just as Pokemon, I'm just not a fan, I just don't really like the flavor, if you will, that they were going for with these types of Pokemon. There are also other Pokemon like Oricorio, Passimian, and Oranguru that I don't hate at all, I just don't really like them either. Like, I've even said Passimian is one of my favorite Alola Mons, I just don't really like the flavor of Pokemon it represents, if that makes sense. There are, however, several Pokemon I like in Alola, such as Decidueye, Rowlet, Rockruff, Lycanroc, Cosmog. There's a bunch of really great ones, just overall, it ends up on the lower end of the list for me. Next up, coming in more towards the middle of the list, but not quite at the same time, at number 5 is Kanto. Now, this might seem to some of you like a weird placement for me for Kanto, given that I just talked about a couple weeks ago how great Kanto's Pokedex is, and I definitely don't take that back. I just think there are other regions out there that offer even better Pokemon as a whole. And that is really the point of this video, looking at each region's entire set of Pokemon as a whole, instead of just looking at a group of them, and deciding, in my opinion, which group I think has the highest quality overall. And while Kanto has tons of great ones, it does have a lot of Pokemon similar to Unova. It's the region with the second most Pokemon behind Unova at 151, and even though this allows for some amazing Pokemon to be introduced, it also allows for some not so great Pokemon, and of course, Kanto has the disadvantage of being the first region, which basically means that Kanto had to play the very important role of pretty much being a practice region for Game Freak in terms of allowing them to practice this new concept that they were creating, because naturally, the more times you do something, the better you're going to get, and that also applies to the creation of Pokemon games and Pokemon regions. So while I don't know that I can even say that there's a single Pokemon in Kanto that I even hate, there are some Pokemon in Kanto that I'm kind of just like, meh, and even though that applies to every single region, because every single region has its bad Pokemon, but obviously Kanto has a very basic sort of Pokedex, and that's not to say that the Kanto Pokemon are bad, and that's not to say that basic is a bad way to go either. It just means that there are some other regional dexes out there that I think are a little bit cooler and appeal a little more to me personally. In my opinion, Kanto also has a slightly more favorable version of the thing I talked about with Alola, where there are Pokemon in the Kanto dex that I don't hate or think are bad, but they also don't really appeal to me very much either, and they're not really my style. So overall, just like with any region really, there are some Kanto Pokemon I really enjoy, but there are a really decent amount of Pokemon that I'm kind of just meh about at the same time, so that's what gets Kanto the number 5 spot. Coming up next at number 4 are the Hoenn region's Pokemon, and I have an interesting reasoning as to why Hoenn is where it is at number 4. I mentioned earlier when talking about Alola that I'm not a huge fan of the tropical regions in Pokemon. However, I personally think Alola is way more tropical than Hoenn, which is why Alola is ranked lower than Hoenn. As to why Hoenn is ranked lower than Kanto, even though Kanto clearly isn't a tropical region, is because I think Hoenn's Pokemon just pop a little bit more than the Pokemon of Kanto do. Now hold up there, because I can already hear you guys saying that the reason why Hoenn's Pokemon pop a little bit more is because they are more tropical. And while I don't disagree with that, I think that Hoenn strikes a nice balance between having tropical Pokemon, but not pushing the envelope a little too much like Alola did with its Pokemon. For example, there are a lot of really nice Pokemon in the Hoenn region that could fit well in almost any region, such as Zigzagoon, Poochyena, Tailo, Absol, Metagross. The list really and truly does go on. However, there aren't really a lot of Pokemon in Hoenn that really push the envelope in being super weird or super odd or super excessively exotic, if you will, like there are with Alola's Pokemon. So even though Hoenn is not my favorite region by any stretch of the imagination, I think its tropicalness, if you will, is much more like a sprinkling or the icing or the cherry on top, as opposed to being full-on exotic like Alola is. And that really helps its Pokemon, in my opinion. Because even though Hoenn's sprinkle of Tropical helps its Pokemon to pop and stand out a little bit more, it doesn't push them over the edge and make them excessively exotic or weird looking like I think the Pokemon of Alola sometimes look like. And I think that really allows for a nice balance between allowing the Pokemon to stand out and pop a little bit more, but not pushing it too far and using too much of that design philosophy. And I think that's exactly why Hoenn ended up in the middle of my list at number 4, because it really does balance really well things I really like about Pokemon and things I don't like so much about Pokemon. Okay, things are starting to get really serious now with the top 3, because now we're going to be looking at my number 3 pick of favorite regional Pokemon, and that would be Pokemon from the Sinnoh region. Sinnoh, both as a whole and with its Pokedex, represent really well the style of a Pokemon region that I really enjoy, because while Sinnoh has the mountains and the nature and the landscapes that I really like to see in a Pokemon region, its Pokedex have the kind of Pokemon that I really like to see as well. Well, what do I mean exactly by the kind of Pokemon I like to see? Well, I can't really narrow it down exactly to one particular thing. There's just a bunch of Pokemon in Sinnoh that I really like, and once again are more of my flavor, if you will. Pokemon like Torterra, Pokemon like Empoleon and Infernape, Pokemon like Garchomp, Pokemon like Lucario, Pokemon like Vespiquen and Combee, Pokemon like Drifloon, even Pokemon like Munchlax that are pre-evolutions and evolutions of previous Pokemon are all much more my speed and my type of Pokemon compared to anything else. Speaking of pre-evolutions or evolutions to previous Pokemon, that is one of my favorite things that Game Freak has ever introduced in terms of a concept or a new feature, because it really just lets Pokemon that didn't have the spotlight before to have the spotlight and really gives old Pokemon new life. And even though I know they're trying to do that same sort of thing with Mega Evolution and Z moves, those two things just do not compare to the fascination that is giving a Pokemon a permanent pre-evolution or evolution, because that's really just the best way of any way they've ever tried of giving Pokemon new spotlight and attention. So the fact that Sinnoh introduced so many new Pokemon that were either pre-evolutions or evolutions to previous Pokemon really gave it a ton of points in terms of me deciding which regional Pokedex is my favorite. So between that and between the fact that Sinnoh for the most part has so many really good Pokemon, really made it an easy choice for me to put it in my top 3. Now we're really coming into the heavy hitters here at the number 2 spot, and at the number 2 spot it might be a bit of a surprise because I have got the Johto region Pokemon. Now, the reason why this might be a bit of a surprise is because not only is my favorite Pokemon of all time Cyndaquil from the Johto region, but I've said before that Johto is my favorite region as a whole as well. So it was a tough choice in putting Johto at number 2, but I really do feel good about its choice, and it definitely shouldn't feel bad about being number 2 either, because the Pokemon in Johto are amazing. Obviously, you got my boy Cyndaquil, which is the greatest Pokemon to ever exist, and the other 2 starters, Chikorita and Totodile, are both amazing as well. In addition to that, you've just got stacks on stacks on stacks of incredible Pokemon, anywhere from Ho-Oh and Lugia and Celebi, to Entei, Suicune, and Raikou, to cool regular Pokemon like Tyranitar. You've also got Sneasel and Crobat and Houndour and Houndoom. There's just so many super good quality Johto Pokemon that I just really can't go wrong in giving it at least the number 2 spot. In terms of negative things to say about the Johto Pokedex, because obviously it's number 2 and number 1, I really can't say anything negative specifically. Sure, there are frustrating Pokemon in the Johto Pokedex, just like there are in any Pokedex, like Miltank for instance, but that doesn't detract from the fact that overall, by and large, Johto has an amazing Pokedex, and I am proud to put it at the number 2 spot on my list. And at the number 1 spot on my list, the region that I think has the best quality Pokemon overall, in my opinion, you've probably already guessed it because it's the only one we haven't talked about, and that would be the Kalos region. Kalos introduced the least amount of Pokemon of any region that we've seen so far, with only 72 new Pokemon, but it definitely went with quality over quantity, because literally almost 100% of Kalos' Pokemon are absolutely incredible. I'm not going to say it's perfect though, because Aromatisse, Trash, and Barbaracle, I don't even know what it is, but other than those guys, basically every single Kalos Pokemon is incredible. Just to give you guys a little bit of insight into how much I love Kalos Pokemon, I recently took that Who's Your Favorite Pokemon quiz that everyone was raging about a few months ago, and I narrowed it down to my top 10. And let me tell you what, this list was pretty dang accurate in terms of what my top 10 actually is. And 5 of those top 10 Pokemon were from the Kalos region. Like, it's ridiculous how much I like Kalos, and it's ridiculous just how high of quality the Kalos Pokemon are as a whole. For starters, you've got the Pokemon who were on my top 10 list specifically, like Phantom, who is my second favorite Pokemon. You've got Goodra, you've got Xerneas, you've got Noivern, you've got Pumpkaboo, you've got the entire Hoenn line, you've got both fossil Pokemon, Tyrunt, Tyrantrum, Amora, Aurorus, you've got Heliolisk and Helioptile. There's literally just so many Pokemon that are like A+ level in my opinion, and that's why I really like Kalos so much, is because it's not just a bunch of Pokemon that I think are decent, it's not just a bunch of Pokemon that I think are really good, and there's only a few Pokemon I hate. It's literally almost 100% of the decks are A+ quality, just amazing Pokemon in my opinion, and that's why I absolutely had to give the Kalos Pokedex the number 1 best regional Pokemon dex of all time up to this point. And there we have it, everybody. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, I know that people are going to have very strong and distinct opinions when it comes to Pokemon and regional Pokedexes as a whole, so I don't really expect you all to agree with me, although it would be really great if you did. I just wanted to state my personal opinion on every region's Pokemon, and I thought it would be fun to rank them from worst to best. With all that being said though, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like because it really helps out, and let me know down in the comments below what your personal rankings are for every region's Pokemon because I would love to hear it. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for new Pokemon content every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and be sure to go check out my Twitter and follow me and like and retweet my contest tweet because I'm doing a Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee giveaway. All you have to do is follow me, like the contest tweet, retweet the contest tweet to enter, and that ends on Halloween night, Wednesday night, so that's almost done. I really want you guys to enter if you haven't yet, so please go check that out. Also, you can check out my Spotify for my Pokemon remixes. I would really appreciate that as well. And with all of that being said, I will be back on Thursday here for another video, so be sure to hit that notification bell so you can be notified as soon as it goes live. And until then, as always, I love you guys, and I will smell you guys later.